Hey mamas, it's Coach Tina again, and I am bringing out another video. This time it's for dessert. I know I said I'd do more breakfast ones, but I don't see why you can't have dessert for breakfast. But if you want it for dessert, it works great for that too. I'm going to actually be putting together a cake that I came up with. Let me see what wow, really creative. I modified a Texas sheet cake. That's what I did. I'm looking over here at my blog site. I'll show you. And so I came up with a egg-free, dairy-free, and this is just a Texas sheet cake, pretty simple. I have all my ingredients laid out right here, and we're gonna put it together and get it ready for the oven, and then I'll show you a picture when it's all done. Okay, so first thing it calls for is coconut flour, and I will have a link to the recipe on my blog, which is at anointedwithoilofjoy.com. And you can find it there. And if you do the search bar and you type in Texas, the cake will pop right up, but I'll still link it below for you guys. And please don't forget, if you're going down there, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. So this is gonna take 1.5 cups, excuse me, of coconut flour. So that's half, 1.5. So there's that. And then the next thing it calls for is a cup of THM baking blend, which I can't have the baking blend because it has almonds in it. And so I use Runamok Mama's blend, and I'll also link to that in the description below. And so I'm able to make this nut-free. I mean, I can make it, and it's dairy-free. It works for my food sensitivities because you're putting it together yourself. So it makes it really easy. So this is calling for 1 cup, and it looks like I'm gonna just about clean out my container, which is good. It's probably time to make a new batch anyway. So there's a cup of that, and you'll love it. Runamok Mama's blend, I feel, is a fabulous substitute for the THM brand. So far, in any recipe I've successfully been able to make without eggs or other substitutions, it's worked wonderfully. Okay, so our next thing is 3/4 to 1 cup of super sweet blend. Now, if you don't like things very sweet, then use less. If you like things quite sweet, like I do, I have a pretty good sweet tooth, then you're gonna want the little bit more. So I just kind of throw it together. And I also feel that chocolate has a tendency, sorry, you can hear my cat in the background crying. He wants his dad upstairs. It's kind of annoying, but nothing I can do about it. So I think chocolate actually has a tendency to make things a little bit less sweet. So I usually add more sweet. His name's Trigger. He's really cute, but he's very needy. And then this calls for 2 teaspoons of baking soda. So I've got 1, 2. Alrighty, and then the star of the show, because it's all about the chocolate, 2/3 cup of cocoa powder. Now, I like several different cocoa powders. I found that I'm liking the darker ones better the longer I've been on plan, and so I usually look for a Dutch process now. But this one's really good, and this one is just Trader Joe brand, which is a little far from my house, but when I'm there, I pick up quite a few. And then we want to put in a good dash of salt here. So that's all this is. It's just Himalayan salt. It's probably about almost a teaspoon's worth, somewhere in there. Okay, so now we're going to mix that all up. Here's my whisk. I forgot to get that out. All right. So I just give this a really good stir. Make sure that all the parts are broken up from the coconut flour and the cocoa powder. You don't want any dry chunks when this is all done. You want it to be well mixed and airy and fine, so that when we mix our wet ingredients in, we get a good consistency. And you don't bite into any of those little dry pieces. You know, I don't know if that's happened to you, but it's happened to me. All right, let me see here. And I'm going to just take my spatula and make sure I got everything from the bottom well, because that doesn't always work great. So this is a fun recipe because it's an S. It's an S that's egg-free, which makes me always very happy because S's are so much harder to do egg-free than our baked goods. All right, so there we go. Now next we're going to be adding in all the wet ingredients, which I have my water and my milk here, and I realized I forgot the pumpkin. I'll be right back. Okay, and in a blink, I'm back. So I have a big can of pumpkin because during the holidays, I try to keep stocked up on this for recipes just like this. So we're gonna open up this guy, and it's saying we are going to need 1 cup of pumpkin. So in this recipe, I say to mix all your dry ingredients well, and then in a separate container to mix the wet. So there is that. So we're gonna need, we'll use this 1/2 cup, and we're gonna set this aside. Okay, once again, I'm back. This one took a little bit more work. I had to actually move the camera, so you might see the angle slightly different, but I forgot to get out another big bowl. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put in 1 cup of pumpkin into here. So we're gonna just measure that out. Looks pretty close. And a little more. Okay, and then the rest of that pumpkin, I'm probably going to freeze into 1 cup portions so that in the future here, when I'm ready to make this again, I can just pull that out and defrost it. And then this calls for 2 cups of water, 1 cup of on-plan milk, and I'll just share with you what I use. I can't have almonds, so I use the coconut silk, and it's always this unsweetened, which I have accidentally bought the red one that's red here, and that one is sweetened, and I was very sad. So make sure if you get that one, you get the right one, because some of the other milks sometimes have more nuts in them, and so I'm always really cautious about what I get. So 1 cup of milk, and then I'm gonna need vanilla and apple cider vinegar, and once again, I'll be right back. Okay, vanilla, apple cider vinegar, we're ready to roll. So we need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We're gonna add in here. So 1 and 2. And my sweet friend Muffy is watching. Thank you. And yes, I am still working on this giant bottle that you brought me. She's one of my fellow admins. I love her. She's so sweet. And then we need 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, and I'll tell you why. Because it's going to give us some fuzzing, lifting action in this cake that because of the baking soda that I put into the dry ingredients, okay? So now, once again, we're going to give this a good mix till it's well incorporated. And then we're gonna put this in with this. So we'll just kind of make a little room here. Ooh, let's hope we don't make a mess. Although I have to tell you, I'm a little notorious for making messes. It's just how I kind of roll. Okay, not too bad. We'll stack up our dirty dishes over here. And now we're gonna just give this a good mix. And it's gonna seem like way too much liquid. I'm telling you what. You're gonna think, oh no, this girl's crazy. This is not gonna work. Promise it will work. Keep stirring. Coconut flour is such a thirsty little flour that it will soak up all of this liquid, all of that pumpkin, milk, water, all of it. See, you can already see it's starting to come together. Now, it's not dry at all, just so you know. This is not dry or crumbly at all. I'm pulling up the dry bits from the bottom of the bowl, and I'm incorporating them. Oh my goodness, let me keep stirring here. I should tell you a little bit about my day. I had such a wonderful day today. My husband and I went out. It was sunshiny, 61 degrees. It was amazing. And we found this beautiful place to go not hiking. It was really just a walking path, but it was right next to this river, and it was stunning. We saw geese, and we saw blue heron flying overhead, and we saw goats. But one of the coolest things we saw was someone had ostrich in their yard. the people on the other side of the river back up to the river. And so many of them had like kind of hobby farms. I wouldn't say they were big farms at all. They were more like hobby farms, maybe 1 acre lots, something like that. It was so beautiful and such a good day for a walk. I had such a good time. Okay, I'm just kind of peeking to make sure that I did get everything up from the bottom and I don't have any dry spots, because it's pretty sad when you kind of flip this out into the pan and you see dry spots. We don't want that. Okay, so that's really well mixed, okay? So now we're gonna take a bar pan like this. This is a very well loved Pampered Chef pan, and I've used it for a long time. Let's put that over there. And we're gonna just take some oil. I use Trader Joe's coconut oil, and we're just gonna give it a good spritz here. Nothing too heavy, nothing too crazy, but enough just to help prevent any sticking when our cake is done. So now here's kind of the weirdest part, because I do egg-free baking. Sometimes my goods before they're baked are a little different than your average. So, oops, see there, I see some dry. That's not good. I'm gonna mix that in. That is what I don't want, and that does happen, obviously. So it happens, just mix it into what you have left in the bowl. It's not gonna make or break the whole deal, because I only had a little bit in there. Okay, we're good. And I'm not too worried about whatever is left that's a little dry, because we're about to fix that. So the way this one works, obviously it doesn't pour out into a pan or anything like that. It's a very dry, different texture. I'll kind of see, it sticks there. And so you actually get in there with your hands and you push this out to the edges of the pan, trying to make it as uniform and equal as you can. So that is the goal. And so that's why I'm not so worried about the last little bits of dry parts either that were left, because they're about to get smashed right in while I'm pushing these down. Okay, let's see here, we're really close. So anyway, my husband and I had a really good day. It was very fun to get outside and walk and see new parts of the area that we live in that we had never been to before. There's a little piece of baking soda, I can see it. So anyway, it was very fun. But I think the most amazing part was just some of the wildlife, and then some of the animals in people's yards. Oh my gosh, and there were so many frogs just talking away to us. It was just wonderful. We loved it. It was a fun day. All right, so that is that. So now this guy's gonna go into the oven, 350 degrees, so just your average, and about, I have two different instructions here, so I make sure I'm reading the right one. 350 for 30 to 40 minutes, and then pull it out and it'll be done. And I'll come back and I will share with you guys my finished product. Okay, so I finished up my cake, and it's a different night because we didn't get to video my putting it together, but I'm gonna do that really quick for you. So I made up a little bit of whipped cream. I didn't whip it as much, so it's real light and fluffy. I just kind of gave it a quick whip because I wasn't so concerned. This is fantastic stuff. And so I take two little pieces of the cake here and I stack them, and I'm not really into making sure they're looking perfect if it's just my husband and I. Mean, I could have probably cut them a little better, but I kind of jumped in there because we were excited about dessert. So I just put in, whoops, you guys can't see. There we go. So I just put a layer of the whipped cream there, and then I put another piece of cake on top. And then I made a really simple, I threw some frozen strawberries in a pan and I warmed them up. I added a few squirts of stevia and a little sprinkle of gluten to thicken it so that I get a nice little topping. And then I add the rest of the whipped cream on top. And that is dessert. It was really simple. I hope you guys give my Texas sheet cake a try.